Ladies and gentlemen, we will now hold a public hearing on the Ashton Village Sector Plan. The Fed Committee work sessions are tentatively scheduled for April 5th, 2021 and April 19th, 2021. If you'd like to submit written testimony, you have until next Tuesday to do so. Each individual will have 2 minutes to speak, and individuals will be alerted as they approach their 2 minutes and may be disconnected. Ms. Kennedy, could you introduce the speakers for this public hearing, please?
Yes, sure. Our first speaker today is Claire Isley. Claire, you will have 2 minutes. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of the county executive. No matter which direction you come from, the approach to the center of Ashton has a distinctive feel. To this day, it remains one of the few rural villages in a rapidly changing county. Page 9 of the sector plan says that Ashton is envisioned as a compact, low-rise, walkable, and bikeable rural village with a mix of land uses. It also notes its diverse housing options that are affordable and attainable for residents of all ages and income levels. The planning draft recommends a maximum height of 35 feet in all quadrants at the intersection of New Hampshire Avenue and Route 108, except for the southeast quadrant. The recommendation for this mostly vacant parcel would allow a maximum height of 45 feet, even though planning staff's public hearing draft recommended 40 feet. The county executive supports a maximum height of 40 feet, which will allow the development of additional diverse housing on the site, but at a scale that doesn't overwhelm the village center. According to planning staff, a height of 45 feet is not consistent with a rural village center and is out of character with the size and scale of the buildings in Ashton, the tallest of which is 30 feet. They point out that even in small towns with larger populations, the buildings are 2 to 3 stories tall, whereas a height of 45 feet would allow up to 4.5 stories. Bigger is not always better, although it is usually more expensive. While this property offers the best opportunity for redevelopment, the scale of that redevelopment will largely determine whether the Ashton Village Center retains or loses its unique and highly valued character. At 40 feet, many new housing units can be built without compromising the village center for which the plan is named. And we've submitted additional comments in written testimony, including from the Department of Transportation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Casey Anderson. Mr. Anderson will also be speaking to item number 6, so he will have 4 minutes. Mr. Anderson, you may begin when you're ready.
Hi again. I won't take a lot of time on the Ashton plan because we just discussed it before lunch. I would say that I don't think there's any dangers anybody will build a 4.5-story building in Ashton. Honestly, as far as appropriate building heights are concerned, I don't think that there is an objectively correct standard. I think during the work sessions, you're going to see some illustrative images and also at the council work sessions.
County Council, we're so pleased to begin today with a proclamation of recognition of Arjun Krishna.
Of buildings at various heights that have been executed in places like Ashton, rural village sort of context that are 3 or 4 stories tall. And I think that you can make your own decision about whether those are appropriate or in keeping with the character of Ashton today and the way that we would all like it to evolve in the future. And the only other thing I'd say about this is to reiterate what I said this morning, which is the question is, how can we get to the place we all want to be, which is a vibrant place that can evolve organically and creates enough opportunity, economically speaking, to facilitate the kind of development and infill and redevelopment that's necessary to achieve to bring about those amenities, to create a more walkable place, and to create a little bit wider variety of housing options at the same time. As to the SRA, we certainly support the idea of providing some regulatory flexibility to allow for agribusiness, particularly agritourism, and those kinds of uses and businesses. We have some questions about whether waiving a platting requirement is really the appropriate way to do that, because the subdivision process is the means by which we get things like sidewalks and dedication of right-of-way and the like, which is really important. And if you don't have to go get a plat, then any business that or structure that you're building on the site is not going to have to go through that process and provide those kind of basic public infrastructure needs that come with the subdivision process. But we look forward to working with the Fed Committee and the Council to try to find some way to make these businesses easier to build and operate. And with that, I will turn it back over to the other public testifiers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Francois Carrier. Ms. Carrier, you have 2 minutes for your testimony. You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Hucker and members of the Council. My name is Francoise Carrier with the law firm of Bregman, Burbert, Schwartz, and Gilday, and I'm speaking today on behalf of Nichols Development Company. Nichols is a local construction and development company headquartered just about a mile up the road from Ashton, and it's the master developer of a 9-acre tract of land that is the largest developable property in Ashton. It's a pleasure to be before you on this as you take up this master plan, which covers a small geographic area, but is very important for the residents of Ashton. You will hear from some Ashton residents whose primary focus is preserving the rural elements of their community, but there are many residents of Ashton who would really like to have a more vibrant village center with shops and restaurants, so they can meet more of their daily needs in Ashton without driving to Olney and beyond. Many people would like to have a new community gathering space in the village center. In addition, the county has made it a priority to encourage the development of more housing that is affordable to a broad range of people. Nichols hopes to meet all of those needs by building a predominantly residential mixed-use project with a focus on missing middle housing at a scale and in a style that fits the Ashton Village Center. Nichols intends to closely track the village core framework in the draft sector plan with a large open space that will be open to the public, a linear park connecting that open space to New Hampshire Avenue, wide sidewalks, pedestrian scale lighting, and on-street parking. Nichols plans to build a combination of townhouses, stacked flats, and mixed-use buildings, and hopes to have a variety of roof lines and architectural styles that will make it feel like it develops organically over time. Nichols supports the planning board's recommended zoning for its property. While Nichols initially advocated for higher density than the planning board recommends, Nichols has determined that the density in the draft plan is workable, provided that the maximum height recommended by the planning board is not reduced, and that the council adopts the sector plan with a few minor changes to increase flexibility. As currently written, the plan includes some design provisions that are so restrictive they could create real obstacles to a viable project. I submitted a letter last week that outlines the revision Nichols requests, and we hope they will meet with your approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Our next speaker is Paula Glendinning. Ms. Glendinning, you have 2 minutes. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you for meeting with us. This last year, I know that you've spent many hours on virtual meetings and making public health decisions that maybe you never thought you'd have to be making. And I appreciate that this may not seem as important, but I hope you'll take the time you need to make these decisions. The community of Ashton is very interested in what happens at the Ashton Crossroads. And most of the community members would like to see some commercial development. And we'd especially like to see crosswalks and pedestrian-friendly improvements. We were actually promised those back in 2007, and then the economic crash put a halt to the last time that this intersection was supposed to be improved. And at that time, what was proposed and agreed upon by the same developer was a group of small 2-story commercial buildings and 6 homes. And now the zoning changes that are proposed would allow over 150 homes to be put on the same piece of property, and indeed 4-story buildings. I'm not sure why Mr. Anderson said that he doubted 4.5-story buildings could be built, but the developer showed a drawing of a 4-story large multi-use building at the last work session. And the only way to make sure that large, massive 4 and 4.5-story buildings don't get built is to not allow them. Right now, the tallest building anywhere near this intersection in Ashton is the Alloway building, built by Mr. Nichols a few years ago, and it's 30 feet high. And it's clearly out of place already in Ashton. It's taller than everything around it. And for it to then become the shortest building in Ashton would be a shame. It would squash this community.
Ms.
We are
Glendinning,
already vibrant.
Glendinning, pardon me, I'm so
we
sorry,
hope-
your time is up, but
we
thank you
hope
very
that you
much for
don't-
your testimony. Our next speaker is Douglas Farquhar. Mr. Farquhar, you have 2 minutes and you may begin when you're ready.
My name is Doug Farquhar. I live in Sandy Spring, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the Sandy Spring Ashton Rural Preservation Consortium. You'll see on my virtual background, this is a view southbound on New Hampshire Avenue toward the center of Ashton. And right over this shoulder, right here, is where the 45-foot buildings would be. And it is really insane to suggest that that would be in keeping with a small village or a rural atmosphere. 45 feet is more than the planning staff recommended. They had recommended 40 feet. And the community favors, and you can see this in the communications that have been sent to you already, the correspondence, we favor reducing the 45-foot height limit on this corner to 40 feet, which is still 5 feet above the other 3 corners, and is above 15 or 10 feet above what the tallest building is in Ashton already. We also favor a reduction in the density on the outskirts. Jamie mentioned earlier that there are, it's a 9-acre plot. Half of the plot is currently zoned either rural cluster or R60. Upgrading that to a FAR of 0.5 would create really unreasonable density for the outskirts. So what we are favoring is a 0.5 FAR density for the lots that are closest to the intersection, but that as you approach the intersection from the rural outskirts, the FAR be reduced to 0.25. Also, the plan does contain some very nice design guidelines, but they are only guidelines. And we would ask that the council make those guidelines mandatory. We've had very bad experience with this developer and this attorney in past developments where the design guidelines have really been set aside and ignored. Finally, the Implementation Advisory Committee is very important.
Just happened.
The Planning Commission has said that the process for the Implementation Advisory Committee should be contiguous or the same time as the public hearings. That is wrong. The Implementation Advisory Committee will only be able to be helpful if it sees the plans before the public hearing stage and the conceptual development stage.
Mr. Farquhar,
thank you very
pardon
much.
me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Paul Mangus. Mr. Mangus, you have 2 minutes to give us your testimony. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, everybody. Paul Mangus. I'm a 25-year resident of Ashton. I live 1 mile south of the proposed development. I'm a business owner. I employ 250 people in Maryland, and I'm a Maryland-based corporation. We actually started a civic association called the Greater Ashton Civic Association because we saw that not all the voices are being heard, especially the voices of the people that want to see appropriate development in the Ashton area. As a business owner, I'm always looking for tools to recruit employees. What was mentioned earlier is that we're missing that middle housing for people. We have teachers that cannot afford to live and work in the area. And what a great opportunity to provide more housing opportunities to the people that support our community. How great it would be for the principal to have that tool to recruit high talent to the local schools, saying you can live and work in this area. Police officer, the police chief can do the same thing. Firefighters, we can recruit firefighters to live in the area. So that's why we see this as a critical component to a complete development of the area. And also, we have one of the best developers in the area. It's his backyard. He lives in the area, and he's shown proof in what he does. He developed 2 beautiful buildings. One is a very vibrant hardware store called Christopher's Hardware. They spent a lot of money in architectural detail. And to me, this is the right person to do this development. If we upset him and he throws up his hands and walks away, guess what? We're going to be faced with what we have on the northern corner is another CVS, where a big box corporation comes in, pushes us all around, and puts in a cookie cutter store, maybe a Sheetz, because I understand that they were very interested in the area. And that would be a total shame to the Ashton Center. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker for this public hearing is Kathleen Wheeler. Ms. Wheeler, you have 2 minutes and you may begin when you're ready.
I am Kathleen Wheeler and I'm president of the Spring Lawn Farm Homeowners Association, located on the west side of New Hampshire Avenue, just south of the intersection of New Hampshire Avenue and Route 108, in less than 1/10 of a mile across New Hampshire Avenue from the southeast corner property. We support, among other things, an implementation advisory committee, safe sidewalks and side paths where they're missing, pedestrian safety and other improvements across all parts of the intersection of Route 108 and New Hampshire Avenue. While our neighborhood is close to the bank, post office, and various businesses in Ashton, there are no sidewalks or crosswalks that enable us or other Ashton residents to walk there safely. Our biggest concern is the development on the southeast corner because of its proximity to our neighborhood and the potential for over 150 units to be developed there. The plan relies on expansion of metro and or ride-on bus service. Realistically, given current budget constraints, it's not clear if and when any expansion of bus service would occur. Ashton is served by a single metro bus that runs only during rush hours and not on weekends, and it has been slated for elimination on various times, most recently in 2020. As a result, most residents are reliant on cars, with most households with 2 adults having 2 cars and possibly 3 if there are teenagers or it's a multi-generational home. Provision of adequate on-site parking is a pedestrian safety issue, since any off-site overflow parking would require crossing New Hampshire Avenue or Route 108, as particularly dangerous at night. Inadequate parking has a potential direct impact on our neighborhood. We expect that building heights on the southeast corner be limited to 40 feet, which is still 10 feet higher than the tallest existing building in Ashton and taller than most buildings even in Olney. We support an implementation advisory committee and ask that it be established similar to the Olney Town Center Advisory Committee. Collaborative engagement among all interests early on and throughout the process will result in better development and is especially needed since the community has been given little information as to the actual plans for the southeast corner, a site that defines the entryway into Ashton from the south and will
Pardon me, Ms. Wheeler, your time is up, but thank you very much for your testimony. The next speaker for this public hearing will be Walt Fennell. Mr. Fennell, you have 2 minutes and you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, members of the council. I would specifically reference the appendix to my February 24 letter for your consideration. In my brief time, I would note that I support reasonable and proportional changes to Ashton's Village, for without change, progress can never occur. Others have spoken to the height issues. I would advocate that the council include enforceable design guidelines into the Ashton plan based on community input, and that the council strengthen the need to ensure cooperation between the Implementation Advisory Committee and any developers who work throughout the entire process of development and redevelopment of Ashton Village. I would also ask that the council consider the concept of a rural missing middle housing plan for Ashton, as shown in the appendix of my letter. Such a plan would be comprised of thoughtfully designed, compact, affordable housing, which complements the historic character of Ashton, Affordable cottage-style homes lined with deep courtyards and shared spaces for community gatherings, small, stylish townhomes, house-scale buildings limited to 2 or 2.5 stories, but designed to accommodate 2 or 3 families as seen in other parts of the county. A mix of small-scale homes which add texture and dimension rather than just another row of ubiquitous stacked flats and more oversized townhomes. As the son of a builder, I know the private sector will only take up opportunities that it perceives as viable. I would note that the type of homes I have described do exist within Ashton, and those homes, when they go on the market, are sold within weeks of being listed, clearly demonstrating a substantial market demand for these types of homes, should a developer wish to pursue a creative and innovative approach to missing middle housing. Because change is inevitable, let's make sure that change is creative, that it's innovative, and that it's a model for other rural portions of the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Our next speaker is Nadine Mort. Ms. Mort, you will have 2 minutes for your testimony. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. I'm a member of the Ashton Alliance and the SSARPC, Sandy Spring Ashton Rural Preservation Consortium, and we are definitely not against smart development. We're a welcoming community. However, we continue to be very apprehensive about this sector plan because even with its detailed design guidelines and nice photos, our analysis shows it would permit development that clearly does not reflect or respect the rural character and historic significance of Ashton. Our group's professional architects studied in detail what could result under the proposed zoning densities and heights, and we are more alarmed than ever at how out of scale and character it would be. I have participated in the planning board's community workshops, meetings, Zooms, and was shocked to see that the opinions expressed by the majority of the area residents regarding mass and density is not reflected in the proposed plans. First, maximum height shown in this plan, 45 feet possible, and lengths of buildings are problematic as they do not complement the surrounding rural character and follow the guidelines presented in the Ashton Sandy Spring Master Plan. Currently, most of the area's structures are not higher than 25 feet, with the exception of the Allway building, which is 30 feet. Second, while we support the county's missing middle program, definitely, again, we're a very welcoming community. The massing and proposed zoning allows a great number of towering townhouses, apartments, and mixed-use structures that will overwhelm this site, turning a rural village crossroads into a suburban complex of brick and mortar, leaving no green space if it's reflected by the things Mr. Nichols has done before. Why can't we have the appropriately scared missing middle housing right here? We would welcome that. Third, we are very concerned about how overbuilding will impact the safety of pedestrians and drivers. I am sure you know that Ashton Crossroads is a dangerous intersection. It is located a quarter of a mile from Sherwood High School, which is at says currently 57 students short of capacity, and Sherwood Elementary School with short walk further down the road, which is at capacity. This plan will exacerbate the current traffic nightmare for residents and commuters, contrary to the county's Vision Zero program to reduce pedestrian deaths. That is shocking, 18 in 2022. Lastly, I'm requesting—
Excuse me, Ms. Mort, I'm so sorry, your time is up, but thank you so much for your testimony. That wraps up the speakers for this public hearing, Mr. President.
Thank you so much to all the speakers. The next public hearing is on the Subdivision Regulation Amendment, SRA 2101, Exemptions, Alcohol Production, and Agritourism. Ms. Kennedy, please introduce the witnesses, the speakers.
The first speaker for this public hearing will be Drew Baker. Mr. Baker, you have 2 minutes, and you may begin when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Drew Baker, and my wife, Casey, and I and our 2 children live on and manage a 117-acre farm in Clarksburg, right off of Burnt Hill Road. We raise pigs and chickens, honeybees, small grains, fruit trees, mushrooms, and most importantly, grapes for wine production, making us a farm alcohol producer. I am testifying today in brief to simply state that I believe that the Subdivision Regulation Amendment 2101 will assist farm alcohol production operations within the county. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker is Edward Boyce. Mr. Boyce, you may begin your testimony. You have 2 minutes.
Hi to everyone on the council. Thank you for taking up this this issue. And I too I own Black Ankle Vineyards in Frederick County with my wife Sarah. We also a few years ago bought 243 acres in Clarksburg to start a new winery, which we're in the process of doing. Last week we also closed on a new 31-acre parcel in Clarksburg as well. So we have planted 24 acres of vines there, and we're planting another 40 next year. So Montgomery County is starting to get put on the map of wine growing, which is great. I think for me the obstacles going forward to really starting a wine business in Montgomery County is some of the issues that this bill really addresses. We are planning to make buildings and visitor experiences which are safe for everybody, which are as carbon neutral as possible, as eco-friendly as possible, to obey all of the laws and things. But part of the process in the county right now, as I understand it, is an awful lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly in our case, spent on legal fees, surveying, civil engineering, nothing against those professions, but there are things that are not going to make our wine better or our customer experience any better. So we're just hoping for not no regulation, but better regulation, I guess. And I think this is at least a start. If either this goes through or some compromise like it, we would really support that. Just let us do the things that are important to both the county and to the customers, and not. And then finally, I just want to say, as an aside, the guys in the ag office have been so helpful. Jeremy, Mike, everybody else, they're wonderful. Keep them. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker will be Kevin Keys. Mr. Keys, you have 2 minutes for your testimony. You may begin when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Kevin Keys, and I want to thank you for letting me speak today. And thank you for your decisions that are enabling us to unlock the economic engine of our farm and the Ag Reserve. It's critical that the county continue to remove permitting barriers and enable landowners in the Ag Reserve to develop agritourism businesses, including farm alcohol production. The Ag Reserve can become a very significant employer and revenue base if we continue to remove the state and county barriers to opening businesses, very much like what Virginia has done, and look what it unleashed. The Ag Reserve cannot be just a static, pretty postcard, or it'll die. It must be a vibrant business community that supports each other and is a powerful economic engine for the county, creating jobs, drawing visitors, and making money. We must all do what we can to help Montgomery County enable the county's greatest asset, the Ag Reserve, to evolve into a self-sustaining destination for the future. My brother and I own the first farm in the Ag Reserve, 500 acres on the other side of Route 28 and Seneca Creek Bridge. We have a beautiful farm with a long history in the state of Maryland, dating back to the 1760s. In fact, predating the establishment of Montgomery County by 15 years. For many years, we've been investing in cleaning up our farm and fixing the infrastructure to support agritourism. When you pass the ability for farms to produce alcohol, my brother and I started developing our business plan to open a distillery and tasting room on our farm with the existing farm buildings and utilize the specialty crops that we grow. We're currently in the process of obtaining the proper approvals and permits, and I must say the process and costs are not for the faint of heart. If we get through the permitting and approval process, we will be initially hiring 27 full-time, full-benefit employees and attracting thousands of people to the Ag Reserve. This is the economic potential that you unleash when you remove barriers to building businesses in the Ag Reserve. Please continue to minimize the entry barriers to business in the Ag Reserve by doing what you're doing. And please look at eliminating any development impact tax on buildings in support of farm alcohol production and agritourism. Thank you very much for your support. And I also second that Jeremy and the entire ag support community have been so fantastic to us. It's just, it's very nice to feel supported by the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keys. Our next Our next speaker for this public hearing is David Harris. Mr. Harris, you have 2 minutes for your testimony. You may begin as soon as you're ready.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the council for the opportunity to appear and offer my testimony today. My name is David Harris, and along with my wife, Megan Draheim, we're the co-owners and co-founders of Song Dog Spirits. I'm here today to support Subdivision Regulation Amendment 2101, which would remove the requirement to subdivide ag land and record a plat prior to getting commercial permits. We've been working for years now to establish our distillery, initially in Rockville, but with the building and permits in hand, we lost our financing due to COVID last spring. We've pivoted to building a farm distillery, bringing us closer to the county agricultural products that have always been at the center of our spirits and our mission. We'd invested millions of dollars in developing our previous site, and we're in the process of doing the same for our farm distillery. This amendment has the potential to shave up to a year off of our timeline, to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars, reducing our barrier to entry into this market. There are plentiful hurdles already to opening a business like ours, from the federal government on down. Helping with this hurdle can help farm alcohol producers of all sizes, and I firmly believe farm alcohol producers are a tremendous benefit to the county in so many ways. We're committed to working closely with the Montgomery County farmers for almost all of our ingredients. Even though our distillery is not up and running, we've already worked with local farmers to grow 2 crop cycles, totaling hundreds of thousands of pounds of grain. We will employ a number of full-time employees and dozens of hourly employees. We expect our distillery to be a destination that will draw visitors and their spending power from Washington, D.C. and other surrounding counties. We also believe that we and others like us will help build community within the county as we provide a family-friendly gathering point for socializing and for celebrating. Farm alcohol producers yield a range of benefits to the county, despite the many hurdles we have to overcome to get up and running. Easing the burden meaningfully by passing SRA 2101 will help us get up and running and will encourage others to follow suit, further supporting Montgomery County agriculture. Thank you very much for your consideration of this amendment and for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker is Chris Miller. Chris, you have 2 minutes. You may begin as soon as you're ready. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Miller. I've worked with several of you in the past, back in 2018, on the passing of ZTA 1814, which allowed farm alcohol production on a very limited number of RE1 and RE zoned farm properties. From that experience, I think that several of you will recall that we did a very thorough job in vetting any of the potential issues that would allow for farm alcohol production on residentially zoned land, on alcohol production facilities out. So places like Lone Oak Farm here in Olney would not be included in the benefits of this SRA. So I'm reaching out to you guys today simply to plead with you to consider amending the SRA 2101 as it is written to include RE1 and RE2 zoned agro-tourism operations similar to us here in Olney. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. President, that wraps up the speakers for this public hearing.
Terrific. Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. That closes this public hearing, and the public hearing on the sector plan is now closed as well. Next is the public hearing. I'm sorry, Councilmember Reamer, my bad.
I'll be very brief. I thought the testimony that we heard on the subdivision regulation explained it well, but as Chair Anderson said, what this contemplates is that an applicant would not have to go through subdivision regulation and subdivide their property and record their plat. And I think that would be problematic in an urbanized or even a suburban context, but in the ag reserve, it makes sense to be more deferential to the design of the property owner and allow them to, I think, take their risks a little bit more. So I do think we should move forward with it, and I look forward to taking it up at committee. Thanks. And we'll take a look at the Millers as well and see if there's a way to cover them. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the public hearing for the resolution to approve amendments to the Bethesda Urban Partnership. I believe there are no speakers for this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Can we get a motion to approve the amendments to the Bethesda Urban Partnership bylaws?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Friedson moves. Councilmember Reamer seconds the resolution. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Terrific. Thank you, colleagues. Next is item 8 is the supplemental appropriation to the county's FY21 capital budget and amendment for the FY21-26 CIP. Department of General Services, $92,000 for the council office building renovations. Source of funds, general obligation bonds. Action is tentatively scheduled for March 16th, 2021. I believe there are no speakers for this public hearing as well. So this public hearing is now closed. Now, the council can sit as the district council, please. I recognize Annalise Livu Ndu to walk us through the district council session. Welcome back. Thank you.
Hi. Good morning, council members. So this is for ZTA 2101, which would exempt from the sign ordinance bus shelter advertising that's licensed by the county. So currently there's a bus shelter sign, and their bus shelter signs are approved under a franchise agreement, and that does not require a permit. So basically this ZTA would add license agreements as well as franchise agreements to exempt any of those, the sign ordinance, the bus shelter parts of the sign ordinance.
Terrific, thank you. I don't see any questions from my colleagues, so that ZTA is introduced. And Ms. Hammond is here for the hearing examiner's report on the local map amendment H138, the property located at 7206 and 7212 Carroll Avenue, Tacoma Park. Ms. Hammond, welcome. I think you're muted.
I'm unmuting. This is a relatively small parcel of about 4,400 feet that's located on Carroll Avenue in the Tacoma Park Historic District. It's a little unusual because most of the property is zoned neighborhood retail, which is an employment zone, except for 1,400 square feet, which is R60. The applicant came in because they have an existing Montessori school on the property and they'd like to expand it. So they came in for a floating zone so they could have a coordinated development on the entire parcel. It complies with the Tacoma Park East Silver Spring Master Plan because it revitalizes an existing commercial use that provides a service that also supports the residential community. It complies with all the zoning requirements, including the Tacoma Park East Silver Spring Commercial Revitalization Overlay Zone. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't see any questions from my colleagues. Ms. Hammond, oh, Councilmember Reamer.
Good barometer. This sounds like it was not controversial particularly. Is that right, Ms. Hannon?
No, it was not. It was not opposed.
Okay. So do we need a motion, or I'd be happy to move approval if we do.
Please. Councilmember Reamer moves. Councilmember Rice seconds. All those in favor of the recommendation, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Good work, Ms. Hannon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Take care. Now, the council will have an update on fiscal policy, followed by action on our savings plan. Let me recognize GO Chair Navarro for any opening comments.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. So today we have, you have in front of you a resolution for us to basically amend and restate, actually, resolution number 17-312. The Government Operations Committee and Fiscal Policy Committee has reviewed many of the county's fiscal policies, including the reserve policy. And we did this on February 22nd, 2021. And I want to commend our central office staff, especially Mr. Gene Smith, working in collaboration with Ms. Michelson and Mr. Craig Howard for really, truly incredible analysis. And so basically what you have here are a number of updates to our current resolution. When we were facing the last recession, the council, working collaboratively with the administration of then County Executive Leggett, came together to adopt a number of fiscal policies that would then become a conduit to a much more stable and strengthened fiscal status for our county. These were policies that were coupled with a number of very difficult decisions that the council ultimately made, which included progressive furloughs, restructuring benefits, as well as rebasing the school system's budget. It was a very difficult time, but it became very clear that unless we approached the situation and made those particular changes, plus adopting a number of fiscal policies that we all committed, particular goals that we all committed to achieve, that it was going to be very difficult for the county as a whole to be in a strengthened fiscal position, and also projecting into the future, it was going to be difficult for us to perhaps even retain our AAA bond rating. May I remind all of us that our triple bond rating, it's something that we are extraordinarily proud of, because not only does it allow us to be able to save money as we are floating bonds and as we are seeking that type of credit, the reality is that it's also an examination and a thorough evaluation of our fiscal standing. And that is why it is so important. And so I would be remiss if I also do not acknowledge that the team on the executive side, especially finance as well as OMB, and everyone has always worked together to address these issues. So here we are. None of us really expected to be here. We had indicated before the pandemic hit, this is 2019, that we were going to deliberately and in a very sort of, I guess, calm fashion, go back and reevaluate and perhaps re-examine our fiscal policies to see whether they still were appropriate, and if we needed to, did we need to tweak something? There had been some changes that had occurred also at the national level. And of course, when the pandemic hit, we kind of put that on hold, but very quickly it became clear that this pandemic was going to last more than 2 months, and that now we needed to seriously begin to consider the fiscal impact on the county, not just right now, so it's not just the short term, but midterm, long term. And part of that, very specifically, and you will see here in this update, has to do with how are we going to use our reserves. Reserves are there for emergencies. There is no doubt that that's why they are there. But how do we get to a point where we can perhaps put some criteria as to how we use, what will we use our reserves for? What about a schedule to replenish the reserves? Because this is also really important. We worked very hard to get to the 10% target. And I believe that we missed it by just a little bit. Well, here we are now. What does this mean? When we get our federal, hopefully, relief funding, what will we be using that for? How would that really leave us in terms of all these other fiscal policies? And how can we agree once again to a set of principles and a set of targets that we can then incorporate not only within our fiscal plan, but also as we go and meet with our rating agencies, be able to present to them our particular strategic approach to this really unexpected fiscal challenge. So this is what we discussed in this particular update. You will see, for example, including a provision that allows for the use of reserves during economic recessions or national emergencies. The addition of the provision does not change the county's reserve goal or council's processes during non-emergencies, but it clarifies. It includes a provision that indicates the county's goal to prioritize expenditure reductions during economic recessions and national emergencies. This provision mirrors past practice to ensure that the county focuses its efforts on responding to the emergency, including a provision that requires that the county replenish reserves within 3 years following an economic recession or national emergency. A 1 to 3 year replenishment policy is a best practice for local jurisdictions. Clarifies the use of one-time revenues by creating a clearer hierarchy for the county's fiscal policy goals and liabilities, including a reference to the county's debt policy in its review during the spending affordability process of the capital budget, includes a reference to the county's other post-employment benefit OPEB policy to make the updated resolution more comprehensive, includes a reference to the other fund balance policies that are reviewed during the operating budget. A few of the tax-supported funds were previously mentioned in the resolution, but this resolution ensures that the resolution notes all fund balances, includes the council's adopted compensation sustainability policy. This inclusion memorializes the fiscal policy memorandum sent by the council in December 2019. So as you can see, in my opinion, this is a really important decision that we are about to make. Again, it is, we all hope that we will be able to navigate through this fiscal challenge and come out on the other side strong, as we also in a parallel fashion seek to be aggressive with our economic development goals. Pretty soon we will be also addressing, a enhanced way of working on our strategic vision and framework for economic development under the umbrella of the Economic Development Platform. That is very important because it cannot just be about us understanding our fiscal situation. It has to also be in parallel fashion to our desire to grow our tax base, to create jobs, to make sure the opportunities are also part of this equation. And but at the same time, discipline is very important, especially during this uncertain and unprecedented time. With that, let me first see whether any of my colleagues in the GO committee would like to make some comments, and then I will turn it over, I believe, to Mr. Smith, I think. Colleagues, Councilmember Katz or Friedson, any comments? Councilmember Katz.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Well said, and obviously these are difficult decisions. However, they really aren't as difficult because we know this is the right thing to do. We know that we have to keep this plan before us, and that their AAA bond rating is something that we truly need to continue to have, because it is such a savings for the county in the short term and in the long term. So thank you, and very well said.
Councilmember Friedson.
Yeah, just very briefly, there were a lot of thank yous going around. I want to thank the chair of the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee, who has helped us navigate through this and was there the last time we went through this. And we've unfortunately had to rely on, you're going through an unprecedented moment. We're now going through another unprecedented moment. And there are real challenges here. And this is the natural next step of what was done then. We set targets, and we and the prior council, predominantly in the prior county executive, put us in a position that is stronger than we otherwise would have been had we not put those safeguards in place. And now there's two questions. One, what do you do once you get there, which was not fully fleshed out, and this policy will help address. But also, how do we get through the current moment that we're in to meet the moments that follow? And I think it's important for us to note that we are in the strongest financial position that we are going to be in for several years, given the fact that most of the revenue impacts have not hit the county yet, based on the way that the economic cycles work, and based on the benefits of federal support and state support. And so we have to be ready for that. And that really is what the reserves are for, and we have to protect ourselves on that. I think this was really excellent work. I appreciate the collaboration of the executive branch
and finance in particular. And I think it's really important, besides vaccines and the public health conversation that we were having earlier today, there's nothing more important that we are going to do than make these decisions and stick to them and be disciplined about them, because this is what's going to allow us to be able to keep up with the needs that our community has and to weather the storm through this crisis. So I appreciate all of the efforts that have gone into this. We had robust conversations in the Government Operations Fiscal Policy Committee, and look forward to us not only adopting this policy, but then committing to following through on the commitments that we make in it.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I think we can turn it over to staff to walk us through the particular amendments, and then that would be the recommendation from the GO committee. And again, I want to also thank Mr. Coveyou as well as Mr. Medellino, who also participated with us, and everyone from the executive side who participated and contributed to this particular resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me recognize first, I believe Director Michelson wanted to say a few words about this.
Thank you. I think the chair of the committee really covered all the introductory comments that I would have made. So I think we could just move right on to the specifics. As all the committee members have already said, this is critically important, and so we are delighted it's before the council today.
Okay. Mr. Smith, Mr. Howard, anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Coveyou, thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to add?
No, I think everything has been said. This isn't materially different from what Mr. Friedson, Ms. Navarro, Mr. Katz said, but in working with our FAs and OMB and your staff since the pandemic began and we started talking about lines of credit in the springtime, it's become readily apparent that there were a couple of things missing in this policy, and they are in this revised version of the policy. Those are when you get to use it, under what conditions we are allowed to use reserves, the county's allowed to use reserves, and then how to go about, not necessarily the mechanics of replenishing reserves, but the fact that they must be done in a timely manner. That timely manner that's set in this particular resolution is the same as what the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, recommends, 1 to 3 years. So it's very good. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Chair Navarro, for all your leadership in the last recession. I was stuck in Annapolis dealing with it there, and maybe Councilmember Rice, I forget which side you were, whether you escaped at this point. You were here, yeah. So anyway, thanks to both of you for your experience, and all the members of the GO committee and all our staff for getting us to this important moment. We're very grateful for all your hard work on this. With that, is there a motion to approve?
Can we go through the, I thought we were going to go through the packet.
Yep, please, I'm sorry. Okay, that was the introductory comments. Mr. Smith, are you leading us through the packet?
I'm happy to. Ms. Navarro already did a great job summarizing the 8 amendments that the GO committee has recommended. I'll just note that the pages circle 5 through 10 is the resolution that the GO committee is recommending for adoption, and then circle 11 through 16 shows the red line of how it changes the previous version. So I'll just go one by one and pause and let the council members, if they have questions or thoughts, to talk. And so as Ms. Navarro noted, the first, and Mr. Coveyou noted, the first inclusion is when to use reserves. That was not currently in the resolution for our fiscal policies and reserves. And so the recommendation by the GO committee is that during national emergencies or economic recessions, and council staff will note that this mirrors the county's minimum wage law in terms of when emergencies occur to pause that. And this also mirrors other jurisdictions in terms of language they use for use of reserves. And so that's when reserves can be used, that will then dictate when a replenishment policy will be needed. So I will pause there if there are comments or questions related to including that provision.
Councilmember Reamer.
Thanks. I just wanted to comment. I like the framework that clarifies how quickly the money needs to be replaced. I think that's really important. We struggle with what this fund is because sometimes we call it a rainy day fund, and it's a reserve. And I think colloquially, often we associate this with money we've set aside to spend later. But in reality, the major goal of this funding is not only to ensure that we can meet payroll, from week to week, which is obviously very important, but it's to give confidence to the people that we lend money to, or that lend us money, that we can pay them back. And that's the real point of it, is that it is a reserve so that those who lend us money are confident we'll repay them. And it is sort of mislabeled in a sense as it's our reserve to spend. It's really a reserve to promote confidence, in our investors. And that's not really the most comfortable thing, and I don't think that's what people really want it to be. I can imagine people cringing at the thought, but the reality is that's what enables us to have a AAA, which is what enables us to have a lower interest rate on our bonds, and allows us to build a lot more schools and other public works, as a result of having that AAA. So, finding a framework to think about if funding is, if the revenues decline, or if there's actually some conscious expenditure that knowingly is going to cause the revenues to decline, that the county needs to be able to restore that money quickly, I think really is an improvement, and hopefully will help settle the nature of the fund itself. I think it is sort of confusing. So wanted to make that point.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, back to you, Mr. Smith. Sorry.
Thank you. And so and as Mr. Reamer noted, the kind of first three provisions deal with our reserves. And so I believe we've talked about those already for a few minutes. So I'm not going to kind of reiterate the first three provisions: emergency use and how to focus on preserving the resources, just as the council has been working with the administration this year through savings plans and other methods to make sure the resources are available to meet the current emergency. And so with that, the fourth item I'll move on to, because that's the first three deal with reserves that are on the cover page, was just to clarify the use of one-time revenues. The current resolution just has a block paragraph that suggests that states reserves are the first priority, and then after that it kind of becomes a mix. And it looked like, and the intent was to have a more clear hierarchy. And so this helps to create a hierarchy that was already in the language, but clarified in terms of when we get one-time revenues, they go to reserves first, they go to our unfunded liabilities and excess for OPEB and pension, if there's any additional liability there. And then they go to other unfunded liabilities or other emergency uses, as we've always talked about. So again, this provision is just clarifying what the GO committee is recommending is clarifying the original language.
Great. I don't see any comments on that. Thank you. I'm getting lots of text, but not from any of you.
Okay, very good. For the sake of time, I'll just say it again on the cover page, bullet points 5, 6, and 7 are new to the resolution, but not new policies that the county council have been looking at for decades. It just memorializes the council's approach to these fiscal policies. One for debt. The council reviews the debt service policy as well as the spending affordability guidelines every year in February, but also every other year with the CIP budget. And so just making a note that is part of the fiscal policies of this council and part of this county, and when they do it. So in case someone finds this document, they know a better sense of where other fiscal policies may be done or conducted. And that's the same thing for the other post-employment benefits. We have the council has a resolution that dictates that policy, and this resolution now correctly references that policy. And the same with fund balances. There's a lot of special funds that the council approves during budget that have specific fund balance policies. And this again references that conversation and review occurs during the operating budget. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. So any comments on that either? Okay.
And then the last one is, as Ms. Navarro noted, is just memorializing the December 2019 compensation sustainability policy and making that part of this fiscal policy, which request that the executive provide documentation if the operating budget compensation increases are greater than the revenues projected, how that the budget was balanced based on that. And again, it memorializes what the council's already made as a policy.
Councilmember Reamer.
I want to thank the committee, thank Chair Navarro and Mr. Katz and Friedson for bringing the policy forward with this included. I think this is a really important piece of the policy. We started this, I know when I was council president, we began devising the framework, and then we formalized it when council president, when Sidney Katz was council president. And now we are, I think, making it a deeper commitment here. I will say we are not meeting this policy in any stretch of the imagination this current year. This has been a very unusual year. We would have met it, I think, had it been but for the differential pay, which obviously was $85 million, that throws all those numbers off. I would certainly hope that our commitment in passing this policy today will be matched with our budget decisions this year, and that will, again, embrace the idea that our compensation should really reflect the increase in compensation that we are able to provide should reflect the increase in revenues that we're able to allocate, and let the executive branch do the negotiating of how those funds will be distributed across different bargaining agreements and so forth, but that we set the affordability based on actual revenue. It's a really good framework, and if we use it, I think it'll really pay off over the long term. So, this has been an unusual year, no question about it. And it's a policy that doesn't just have, it's not a snapshot in time. It's not just a 1-year issue. It's a multi-year issue. But I, again, sincerely hope that the council will embrace this fully and make sure that our longer-term spending trajectory for compensation is supported by the longer-term revenue projections. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't see any other comments. Mr. Covey, any prognostication about how the rating agencies will view this updated resolution?
They will not look at it unfavorably. Again, what I mentioned earlier was we've actually been working with our financial advisors on this, and they actually said it would be a really good thing if we especially did the replenishment portion and the use portion. The rest of it is sort of icing on the cake, but the replenishment and the use of the reserves were the keys as far as they could tell. So it will be looked favorably by the rating agencies, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Okay, I don't see any other comments. Okay. The GO committee recommends the resolution. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Great, that is unanimous. Thank you all, everyone that contributed to this. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, we need a motion to suspend the rules so we can take action on the second FY21 savings plan. Can I get a motion? Councilmember Katz moves.
Second.
Councilmember Rice seconds. All those, no, any discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor of approving the second FY21 savings plan, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. Terrific. We can move on to item 11.5, legislative day session. We have caught up. This is great. We are introducing two bills. Bill 1021, Economic Development Strategic Plan, Economic Development Corporation Duties. Lead sponsors, Councilmember Friedson. The public hearing is scheduled for March 23rd, 21 at 1:30 p.m. And Bill 1121, the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation bylaws, live video streaming of open meetings. Lead sponsor, Councilmember Glass. Co-sponsor, Councilmember Hucker. is introduced as well. No comments on those. Oh, Councilmember Friedson.
Can I just say that for Bill 10-21, I'm a co-sponsor as well.
Yeah, apologies for that. I think the two co-sponsors on that should be Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Reamer. Just quickly, this was noted previously. This is a bill really to streamline all of the tremendous work that is already happening on economic development. This isn't recreating the wheel. This is making sure that we're all on the same page. It builds off of the economic development platform that, as Council President, Councilmember Navarro led us through to create that framework, work that Councilmember Reamer has been doing as the Fed Committee Chair on economic development work this council has really focused on and led on. I'll note Councilmember Katz, as Council President, also has really been pushing this, working closely with the executive branch as well on particularly streamlining the processes and making it easier to do business here in Montgomery County. And we've been working closely with the executive branch and with the Economic Development Corporation on creating a system that puts in place. I also wanted to note that Councilmember Reamer, my predecessor, created the Economic Development Strategic Plan for the previous county executive. This is basically an update to that reflects all the different dynamics that are happening. The county executive has been working quite a bit on these issues as well, has a number of initiatives, including the Economic Advisory Group chaired by Doug Furstenberg that has been working on. The Economic Development Corporation has been working on a number of initiatives, including a Reach Advisors report. The bottom line is there are a lot of different moving parts. Everybody is working on economic development. I have said this before. It can't be part of what we do. It has to be part of everything that we do because it generates the revenue we need to provide the services that residents rely on. This is about our ability to improve quality of life, strengthen our school system, build needed transportation infrastructure, and provide the services to provide our residents, which relies on a thriving and growing private sector economy. And this is really just about consolidating all of those efforts, formalizing and institutionalizing it. It would put Economic Development Corporation in the front to allow them to play a significant role in developing this and getting key stakeholder input to bring it out to the community as opposed to having it done in the back door of county government. Provides a formal role for the county executive to weigh in, and then requires a public hearing and the county council ultimately to adopt it. So really this is about sharing responsibility for economic development, which we all need to be part of, and consolidating all of our various efforts to make sure that we're moving forward as one county within and beyond county government to grow a thriving economy to maintain the type of services that we need. So appreciate the co-sponsors, appreciate the executive branch, appreciate the feedback that we've received from MCEDC, and look forward to moving forward with an economic development strategy that is consolidated and that brings everybody in a collaborative fashion moving forward to support our local businesses and most importantly our residents.
Great. Councilmember Albornoz, are you on Bill 1021?
Yes, I'd like to be listed as a co-sponsor, Mr. Council President.
And Mr. Giwando, are you on Bill 1021?
No, the next bill.
Councilmember Katz.
I am on Bill 1021. I'd like to be listed as a co-sponsor, and on Bill 1121 as well. I'd also like to be listed as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Terrific. Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you. Just also wanted to reiterate the importance of finding a streamlined and strategic way to provide a framework for our economic development goals. It is absolutely necessary, and I'm glad that we're able to find a vehicle. This is something that I know all of us have heard time and time again that needs some TLC. And so I'm very pleased that we have arrived at this particular moment. Thank you.
Terrific. Councilmember Reamer.
Yes, just want to add, as Councilmember Friedson mentioned, and I thank him for taking the time to think about how we could do things differently. I know you put a lot of thought into it. As you said, years ago, I think it was 2012, I co-sponsored legislation with Councilmember Leonard. We required the executive to draft a comprehensive plan. It was a good effort. It was a little bit overwhelming, I think, in some respect. And I think there's potential to do it this way, as you've proposed, having MCEDC taking the lead and having it be maybe a bit more of a nimble document that is intended to evolve in real time, through dialogue with the county executive and the county council. I think it's a more interesting way to handle it. It's based on using MCEDC, which we didn't have in 2012. So yeah, I think this is a thoughtful approach. I look forward to seeing how this works. Thanks.
Terrific. Thank you. Councilmember, I think that's it on Bill 1021. Councilmember Glass on Bill 1121.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. So, this month marks 1 year since the global pandemic began, and people across the globe have adapted to social distancing and remote communication. And we know that online platforms have become the medium by which many of us conduct our work and connect, and especially here at the council, exactly what we're doing right now. And if this last year has taught us anything, it's that it is possible for governments and organizations to be more accessible to the public. And given how much we can achieve with our technology demonstrated over the last year, it's our responsibility to continue pushing the envelope to provide greater transparency for the public. And so today I'm proud to introduce legislation that will ensure the live streaming of the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation's open meetings. And I've spoken with the president and vice president of MCEDC's board. I've also spoken with the leadership of Common Cause Maryland, and everybody is in agreement that we should always strive to have more transparency in the deliberations and use of taxpayer dollars. And this legislation builds on the important work that Senator Cheryl Kagan and Delegate Mark Corman have been doing at the state level to ensure that meetings for governmental and quasi-governmental agencies are accessible to the public. Because we know that MCEDC has a really important mission, as we were just discussing, and that mission is to attract and retain and grow business here in Montgomery County. And since 2016, the inception of MCEDC, the county taxpayers have provided about $40 million to help support that agency, that not quasi-governmental organization. And during COVID-19, MCEDC has been tasked with administering more than $15 million in special appropriations for a variety of programs. And given the substantial investment made by county taxpayers, residents should be able to easily access those open meetings. And given all the work that they have been doing over the last number of years and over this particular year itself, I sincerely appreciate all the hard work that MCEDC's professional staff have done and all the volunteer time that its board members have done. And I know that many of those board members, it's a second or third job for them to serve on that board and to serve all of us here in Montgomery County, trying to make it an even better place to live, work, and play. And I also appreciate my colleagues who have signed on as co-sponsors, Council President Hucker, Council Member Jawando, Council Member Katz, thank you very much a few moments ago. And so, the bottom line here is that 1 year into this pandemic, it is possible to modernize our systems and infrastructure. And this crisis has demonstrated that technology can make virtually anything possible with the click of a button, including access to public meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other. Oh, Councilmember Navarro.
What? I was waiting,
Thank you.
for this. Yeah, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No, yes. I mean, I welcome, this particular proposal. I'd like to be listed as a co-sponsor. I do want to make sure that as we deliberate, we'll have to figure out what it will cost, obviously, but we also are going to have to begin to think through the very many different boards and commissions or any other kind of endeavors that we have that are receiving taxpayer dollars. We on the county council obviously took this very seriously because, there was a time when not everything was necessarily streamed. And obviously it's something that we all felt very strongly. I do believe that COVID-19 and the way that we have had to quickly migrate to the digital world has, created some opportunities as well. So I look forward to figuring out what will be the most cost-effective way for us to take advantage of that and to make sure that that transparency exists while weighing the resources, because it's a real thing. We just adopted this fiscal policy update, so we do have to be mindful that this issue of the resources are going to always be front and center. But I think that the spirit of this particular approach is really important. Thank you.
Councilmember Juana.
Thank you. Want to congratulate Councilmember Glass. Thank you for mentioning me. I was not listed in the packet as a co-sponsor, so just thank you for, hopefully staff can just make sure. I think if not the first, I was the second. I jumped on it. I think it's a great idea. I want to also give kudos to our staff. Ms. Michelson and our team for allowing us to move. I don't know what the anniversary is. We should have a Zoom party on the anniversary of when we start broadcasting our things electronically. But we've made progressions along the way. And as far as allowing people to testify in person and show their face, and we've upgraded in this last year and been nimble. And I think it's greatly improved the ability for people to participate. I know, for speaking for myself, it's made my experience and I think our experience when we're hearing from the public better. And I think this is just scratching the surface of the new world. And I think an agency as important, semi-government agency as important as MCEDC, particularly in light of the previous legislation and the great work ahead to support all of our businesses and grow our economy, particularly in an equitable way. Transparency and accountability go hand in hand, and they're key to that. So really appreciate you, Councilmember Glass, for putting this forward, and glad to be a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President Obernos.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'd also like to be listed as a co-sponsor. I think Councilmember Navarro said it well, that the spirit of this bill is so important because it does promote transparency and takes advantage of this moment in time where so many people are accessing government meetings. And I think there's been a record level of folks that have testified before the council, certainly before committees, over the last year because of the accessibility. And it always warms my heart when I see somebody request an interpreter, because that means that we have been able to expand even further into communities that for too many years have not felt connected to our various government systems. But I just want to make 2 points. In addition to transparency, I want to promote what MCEDC is doing. Because there is a lot to be excited about in the economic development space. And there is more that our public should be aware of and excited about in terms of buzz in the focus on economic development here in Montgomery County. So I think this bill has the additional opportunity for us to elevate the work of MCEDC for a broader community and, frankly, our region. Because Councilmember Friedson's our representative on their board, and obviously the Fed committee is intimately, as all of my colleagues are, engaged in the discussions, and what Councilmember Navarro laid out during her presidentship is also important. So I think it's great. I will note also, to Councilmember Navarro's point, there's pros and cons with technology. The pros obviously are fairly straightforward. The cons are certainly potential cost. But we do need to be concerned about safety and security as well. I think all of us at this point have been in a Zoom meeting that has been hacked or compromised in some way. And so I think that we need to bear that in mind and take those lessons learned as well to not provide an additional burden on top of whatever the costs are and help organizations prepare for that. There are a lot of examples of best practices now. We've gotten our feet wet, our bearings straight. But it should be something that is discussed during committee as we deliberate over this particular bill. But I congratulate you, Councilmember Glass, for introducing it. Thank you and your team. And I also just want to say one last thing. This is another example of where you have reached out to the key stakeholders who are going to be directly impacted by this legislation, and securing their support is very significant and helps all of us as we go through the bill making process. I'll just note that. So with that, I yield back to you, Mr. President.
Well said. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you. Look forward to taking it up in committee. Years ago, I led the fight to record every committee session of the county council. We weren't previously recording every session. We were recording, we weren't posting them. I thought that was really important. I do think the question will be asked, well, what other agencies or quasi-governmental entities should be subject to such a rule? And then I think the second thing that's going to be asked is, and then how will those records be stored? Are these intended to be accessible afterwards or simply broadcast in real time? It's not that hard to, go onto Facebook Live and stream an event. Going beyond that, it gets really complicated. So we'll need to take a look at kind of those considerations. And I also just want to be really clear. This is not going to lead to the organization streaming its board meetings. There will be a public portion of the meeting, and a substantial amount of its business it will be conducted, as a closed door meeting, which is appropriate for an economic development organization. But there will be, there would be some portion of it that would be the public, portion, and I guess that would be the broadcast piece. So we will take all that up when we get, when we have it before the committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. I really do appreciate, again, the conversation surrounding understanding that our NCEDC also has very challenging conversations that are not necessarily for the public when it comes to what kind of deals they're going to be striking. And so those kinds of things obviously will be held in closed session. But I think that, again, having the generic part of their meeting so folks can understand what it is that they do from day-to-day operations is incredibly important. And so from that perspective and for all the things that other folks have said, I think it's a great step moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, without further ado, those bills are introduced. Next is the call of bills for final reading, item 12, Bill 4720, Ethics Commission Conflicts of Interest Financial Disclosure Amendments. The GO committee recommends enactment with amendments. Madam Chair, do you have any comments on this bill?
Sure. So this bill, Ethics Commission Conflicts of Interest Financial Disclosure Amendment. It was sponsored by lead sponsor Council President at the request of the Ethics Commission, and it was introduced on December 1st, 2020. A public hearing with one speaker was held on January 12th, 2021. The Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee work session was held on January 27th. This bill is amended by the GO committee would require employees to attend a public ethics training course, amend the law governing appeals of a decision by the Ethics Commission, amend the law governing the Ethics Commission's resolution on complaints, repeal an exception to the restrictions on outside employment for an elected official, clarify an exception to soliciting or accepting certain small gifts, and modify the procedures for administering the financial disclosure process. I can say that I think that is about it. I can't remember if there were any additional amendments. I'll ask Mr. Drummer if there were any additional ones. I think that is the summary of what the committee had recommended, which was a 3-0 decision. Mr. Drummer, anything that I left off?
Yeah, not really, but the committee didn't approve an amendment that took out a provision that the Ethics Commission had asked for, which would have created an exception to participation by a public employee for a matter in which they have an economic interest, essentially if they own stock in a large S&P 500 index stock, and they own a certain limited amount, that they wouldn't have to recuse themselves or stop participating in that kind of a matter. As you know, the State Ethics Commission needs to approve all county ethics laws, and they need to be similar to the state law and identical for public officials and similar for all other employees. The State Ethics Commission did not believe that that provision was consistent with the state ethics law, and based on that, the committee removed that provision from the bill, although the County Ethics Commission, who also approved removing it based on what the State Ethics Commission said, had indicated that they would look at and probably do the same thing by a blanket waiver, which they are allowed to do. And for reasons that I can't explain, the State Ethics Commission is okay with that, but they don't want it in the actual code. But other than that, the provisions that the Ethics Commission asked for were approved by the committee, and Ms. Navarro explained what the provisions were.
All right, Mr. President, so that is our recommendation.
Terrific. Okay, we have a recommendation from the GO committee. All those in favor of approving this bill, please raise your hand.
It's a roll call vote, Mr.
I
President.
beg your pardon.
Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Tawanda?
Yes.
Mr. Tawanda votes yes. Mr. Reamer?
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Ms. Navarro?
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson?
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Albernos?
Yes.
Mr. Albernos votes yes. Mr. Hucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes.
Terrific. So that bill passes. Congratulations. And we are adjourned.